Welcome, everyone, welcome. Justin M. Bailey here, and welcome back to the wonderful world of Venom. Venom, hands down, one of the most human of comic book characters, if you ask me. And the first thing I gotta get out of the way is, I am totally on board with this new Venom movie now coming out. The main reason why I was on the fence before was I've seriously been wondering, I'm racking my brain here, how the heck can you have a good Venom origin story movie without Spider-Man? How can you do that? That's literally like having a Spike Lee movie without white people. Do you know what I mean? You can't have a good Spike Lee movie without evil white people.
What's up? Can I get 2 slices of pepperoni?
And how the heck are you supposed to have a good Venom origin story without Peter Parker? It makes no sense. And yet, in spite this glaring omission, in spite the fact that there is no Peter Parker or KKK in this movie, I'm totally on board now, because I feel that even without this, they're really getting to the root of what Venom, and frankly what most of us are about, and that is our never-ending struggle with our darker, more vicious and savage of sides. I love it, and I love that in this incarnation, Eddie Brock is in no way a willing participant. He's not a willing host for the symbiote. He doesn't get the thing, and he's like, yay!
That's it! I'm gonna slap you!
Let's go revenge some people. No, he reacts how most of us would be, and I just like it. He's having this serious internal struggle with the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, to me right now, it looks like some very strange and unusual alien symbiote buddy cop action flick, which is weird. They never really made anything like that. So good or bad, I'm super excited now. I'm super curious. And next, first off, here is my entire Venom collection. Or at least most of it. I'm not going to talk about all of it, but the first three I really want to get into is Amazing Spider-Man 252, Amazing Spider-Man 258, and Web of Spider-Man #1. And if there's a theme to these three, I gotta say it's emotions. Emotions, that which makes us human. That what makes it simultaneously wonderful and hellish to be a human being every single day. Emotions! The never-ending roller coaster ride. We hate the downs, sure, but we love the ups. And without no downs, there would be no ups. And hasn't that always been one of the main reasons why we love Spider-Man so much? Because his life has always been one of the most insane of never-ending roller coaster rides, both in and out of the costume, and perhaps in all of comic book history. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Peter Parker, aka the Spider-Man, really is the very first hero, the very first character ever to have just as many problems as Peter Parker, if not more, than he ever did as Spider-Man. Since 1962, his entire life has been a never-ending set of just drama bombs going off left and right. Pew, pew, pew! And in spite of this and the fact that he usually gets punished for doing the right thing instead of being rewarded, no matter what, against all this, he always not only perseveres, but he always, almost always makes sure to never let it get the better of him. To never let his darker emotions, his venom, get the better of him. In short, one of the reasons why we've always loved Peter Parker is Peter Parker represents the best that most of us, or at least comic book fans, have in us. He represents the importance of being responsible for ourselves and perhaps for other people too. It's why we love him so much. He's a saint. And if we first take out issue number 252, in issue 252, Spider-Man is just as happy as shit to finally be back from the Secret War. He's just so goddamn happy that he somehow survived it. I've honestly never read Secret War, so I don't know. Shit happens. Galactus tried to step on him or something. He's just so goddamn happy that he somehow survived it and got back to Earth in one piece. Not to mention with a snazzy new set of alien threads that he has no idea is a living sentient being at this point. But by issue number 258, he most certainly does, and does not take it lightly at all. But even more importantly, once again, this particular issue, number 258, begins very much in the usual Peter Parker / Spider-Man fashion, with all sorts of drama bombs going off everywhere. Pew, pew, pew! The first page of the frickin' issue is Mary Jane revealing to Peter that she knows he's Spider-Man, and that she's known it for a very long time. And Peter's all like, oh my god! And she's trying to leave, and Peter's shouting, no, wait, don't go! And he's trying to patch things up with her, and maybe convince her that he's not, that it's all just fake news, and he's not colluding with the Russians, or anything like that. But then, suddenly, Vladimir Putin Black Cat pops in, and even more so, Peter's like, oh my god! Because clearly there's no way he can convince MJ that he's not Spider-Man. And Black Cat sees Mary Jane, and she's all like, who dis fucking ho? And the crowd's getting all into it, screaming. And all of us reading the comic are getting into it, screaming. But most importantly of all, the alien symbiote. The alien still attached to Peter, whose true nature has yet to have been revealed, to our favorite webhead, is most importantly of all getting into it. And perhaps greater beyond any of our comprehension. For you see, for its entire existence, the symbiote has never bonded with anything, any creature that has had any emotions whatsoever. So when it did finally bond to Peter Parker during the Secret War, Peter Parker, aka the most emotional superhero of all time, imagine what a revelation, what an awakening of possibilities it must have been for this creature's very long and probably very lonely existence. Clearly, for all of these reasons, the symbiote wanted to bond and stay with Peter forever. How can we blame it for this? I mean, sure, perhaps take over his soul and consume his body, but let's not split hairs here. Like all of us who love reading Spider-Man comics, the symbiote never wanted the amusement park, emotional roller coaster ride to ever end. But unfortunately, it was about to end very abruptly. After one really trippy dream, Peter decided to head on over to the Baxter building to get Reed Richards to finally run some tests. But when Reed finally reached his conclusions and told Peter exactly what it was, what was attached to him, what the living true nature of his alien costume really was, Peter Parker's reaction was pretty much, "Jesus Christ, that thing's real!" And he insisted that Reed Richards abort the thing, get the damn thing off him, and of course, per his request, Reed Richards and Johnny Storm forcibly removed the thing and dressed Peter up in the funniest crime-fighting costume he has ever worn, period, kick-me sign included. And all is well that ends well, except that after being separated, clearly against its will, the alien symbiote was pretty fucking pissed off, as you can imagine. And even though it was still incredibly new to the whole emotional scene, the emotional game was easily starting to get a handle on one of our most powerful and intoxicating, most destructive of emotions. I'll give you a hint. And then when this angry, aborted alien creature finally found its way out of Reed Richards' basement and tracked Peter down again in Web of Spider-Man #1, like a jilted, rejected, angry lover, it tried to permanently attach itself to Peter once and for all, by force. It basically tried to rape Peter.
I'm gonna rape you! No, please! Bad dog!
And while trying to stop this from happening, while fighting it off over the New York skyline, no less, while simultaneously they were also getting attacked by a bunch of vulture wannabes. Fuck you assholes, you will never be as cool as Michael Keaton. They inevitably crashed into the Chapel Bell Tower and famously gave us one of the most memorable Spider-Man scenes of all time, easily up there with the death of Gwen Stacy, with the bells going off, gong, gong, gong. And Peter knew this was his last chance to finally get free from the symbiote once and for all. But unfortunately, though he did, the process had also left him too weak to also get out of there and save himself, and he was about to die. But believe it or not, the symbiote actually ended up saving him in the end. And this is very important here, please listen. On its home world, the symbiote is an emotionless being who preys on emotionless others. However, fate has paired it with an emotional being who feels intensely fear, greed, excitement, responsibility, love. But symbiosis is a two-way street. The alien costume is intelligent. It has learned to feel, and in feeling, to act. In a very short while, Peter Parker will awaken and wonder, why did it save him? It's a question that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Finney. Even though deep down we all know this is not Finney. Once again, emotions. The wonderful roller coaster ride that is to be human, or to be an alien symbiote attached to a human. Emotions are who we are, so do not poo-poo it. We are emotional creatures, not logical ones, to paraphrase Dale Carnegie. We are all just these exceedingly remarkable, loving and caring, creative and artistic, empathetic / violent and savage, pathological, out-of-our-mind creatures. What funny little cocktails we all really are. Most of us are totally emotionally out of control most of the time. And speaking of being totally emotionally out of control, I'm quite happy with it too, I might add. And with a breathtaking sense of dark, witty humor, nightmare of nightmares, I think it's time we finally get to the meat and potatoes of this series, don't you think? I think it's time we finally start talking about some Venom, because guess what, everyone? We are Venom.